Hello, chaps and chapettes. I'm back here with Planet Zoo. I'm obviously your host, Beardy. Uh, I really wanted to get into this game, but when the beta came out, I got horribly sick, and I got one episode recorded, but I think we were back. We were up to basically where the tigers were. And we're going to continue on from there. Hopefully it goes a little better this time. It did last time. I got pretty frustrated. And we'll try to keep the cussing to a minimum. Alright, now. I think I've said it before, but I really prefer like natural organic shapes. I did get to mess around a bit more with the game, so I'm a little bit more proficient than I was last time. Also, I'm not having to run off to do various things. I think the creative freedom that you get with this game is just crazy. But in some ways, it's actually restrictive until I figure out how to play the bloody game. Basically.
Now, Bernie takes safety very seriously at his zoos, so we should probably make sure those tigers can't jump out of their habitat, don't you think? The way we'll do it is by changing the height of the habitat's barrier. Okay then, you should start by double-clicking the habitat barrier, which will take you into barrier editing mode. Great. Now highlight the entire perimeter of the habitat. You can do that by clicking and dragging the barrier selection tool. Now you've got all of the perimeter selected, you can increase the height of it by clicking and dragging the barrier height tool upwards. You'll want to make sure it reaches a height of at least 3.7 meters.
We'll set it to 4.
Okay, that's the habitat boundary complete, the habitat gate in place, and most importantly, the tigers won't be able to jump out of it anymore. I think it's time we adopted those tigers.
Oh, great. Okay. I really wish we could... I've also found out you can just press shift to get both of them.
Whilst our trusty caretakers collect and deliver the tigers, let's take a look at preparing the habitat for their arrival. We'll start with the basics.
Nice, calm
Add
water.
a suitable feeding station for them.
Get rid of these trees. The bracken can stay there. Hawthorn, probably fine. Wattle. No wattle. Wattle's what we have. Alright, Tiggies. If you're wondering what Tiggy is my 2-year-old's tiger.
Yes, that'll do nicely. Of course, just like the warthogs and ostriches, these tigers will also need some enrichment. Why don't you add some suitable toy and food enrichment items into their habitat?
Rubbing post. Over here. And you got a blood pumpkin. I don't know if you guys have watched like
Okay, it's
big
really
catty
starting to take shape.
pumpkins.
Now, the tigers will need a shelter
Damn
in
it,
their
Ned.
habitat so they can hide from the guests, or more likely, the bad weather. Although, given that we're in England, you might want to think of that just as normal weather. Go on, add a shelter to their habitat. You can either build one from various suitable bits and bobs, or if you like, just pop down the blueprint that I've already built for you.
I have been screwing around with the building things, and don't worry, we'll definitely get into that. But for the sake of expediency in getting through the tutorials, I would also, like, because this game is real, I've had a lot of fun with it, but it is really
Oh,
complicated.
poor Dabs. I'm sure it can't have escaped your attention that the tigers look a bit miffed. That's because they aren't too keen on the type of terrain in their habitat. Select a tiger and bring up its information panel. Rightio, click on the terrain tab. That way you can view the terrain information and see how they feel about the different types of terrain. That'll tell you what the tigers need more of or less of in this habitat. Okay then, open the
Oh, my
terrain
goodness.
editing tool, select painting, and give them some more soil. Yes, that should help with the habitat part of their welfare.
She's...
Right then, all animals need plants and trees from their own biome or continent. You know, deserts, savannas, or Asia, Europe, that sort of thing. It looks like these tigers need a few more plants in their habitat. To get a perfect fit, use plants from the rainforest and temperate biomes that are native to Asia. Although if you have to, you can get away with using just one or the other. The tigers will also want a certain amount of their habitat to be covered by those plants. To find out which plants to use and how many, select a tiger and go to the Environment tab. Now, as you can see, some of the plants currently in the habitat aren't quite right for the tiger, like the wattle bushes. You can remove them if you want. You can find all of the plants you need in the nature section, and you can use the filters to only show the types of plants you want to see. In this case, that's plants from the rainforest or temperate biomes.
I got some bamboo. Hey! That's
They
where we got
say the
stuck
good
last
fences
time.
make good neighbors. I guess that's doubly true when one of the neighbors is a Bengal tiger. Still, those tigers look so happy that I doubt they'd leave, even if you did poke a hole in their fence. Oh, but for heaven's sake, don't test that theory.
Right, let's head over to the Indian peafowls. I've been told that we need to improve their social welfare.
Hey, I feel like they need to alter it, alter the tutorial a little bit. I know they've got so many options, and they need to narrow it down to help people out. But once you've unlocked something, if it could stay unlocked, because no one can see our tigers, right? Just getting. Some shots in there. Okay, peafowls.
Now then, just find one of the peafowls and select them to open their information panel. Then we can have a good gander at how they're doing. Although technically, I suppose gandering would just be for geese. Expand their social welfare and we can get a bit more detail. Now, they've clearly got plenty of space and they're not stressed, but it looks like their social group isn't quite right. So let's find out more. Click on the social tab at the top of their information panel to see what's wrong. Right, as you can see, the peafowls need their population to be larger. To solve this little problem, you'll need to adopt 3 more female peafowls. Off you pop to the animal market then.
I feel like it's so difficult to talk through the tutorial. I mean, it just...
Good work on those peafowls. I expect they'll be delivered soon. But sadly, it sounds like our snow leopard is a bit grumpy. Let's head over there and see what's wrong with her.
Well, I understand it. The snow leopards are mostly grumpy all the time.
Just like people, animals can suffer from stress if things aren't quite right. You know, like when you see someone put in the milk before the tea bag. In the case of these snow leopards, they're a bit stressed by their lack of privacy. You can lower their stress levels by swapping out the normal glass barrier by their cave for one-way glass. It's not a cheap option, but I think they're worth the expense, don't you? This will give the snow leopards somewhere to go when they want to get away from the prying eyes of the guests. Of course, when an animal isn't in its natural biome, it's probably going to be too hot or too cold. Unsurprisingly for the snow leopards, it's too hot. Even with the terrible British weather. You should help cool it down by adding some coolers to their habitat. But let's start by opening up the temperature heat map and having a look-see at the temperature in the leopard's habitat.
Right. Now, where is she? I mean, I say she. I have no idea it's a she. They do climb trees. Yeah, she was in the tree. Environment. Terrain. Wait, no, that's the heat map.
As you can see,
so
we
many
already have
things.
one cooler in there. Let's pop some more down and get as much of the habitat as chilly as we can. Luckily for us, this habitat already has power, but you'll need to make sure of that in the future. Just so you know, if any part of a habitat is powered, then the whole habitat will be powered. You can find heat maps for all sorts of helpful things, so do be sure to explore them and make good use of them. It'll take a little while for the temperature to adjust once you've added coolers or heaters, but now we've got the coolers in, we can address the leopard's terrain welfare. You see, what the leopards really want in here is snow and rock, so let's make that happen.
Just make some rock for him. Make it up a little bit higher. And then we just do snow. I used to
Well
do
then,
that. Oh,
all of
for
that should give you a
goodness
pretty
sake.
good understanding of how to make animals happy. So I'd like you to go and check on all the other animals in the zoo and fix up any issues with their habitats. That'll increase the average welfare of the animals across the whole zoo. And that average welfare is a very important statistic. Now, to quickly see how all your animals are doing in the zoo, you should go into zoo management and then into the animals section.
I really like all the tools and whatnot that they've given us. I'm excited to see what, like, once you've mastered it, like, look at this. Look at this. This is amazing. And, oh my god, it's so fluffy. The adorable little thing. It's so cute.
As you can see, this list shows you the animal's overall welfare. So if something's amiss, then you can quickly pop over to them using the locate button. Right, I'm off for a cuppa while you make sure all the animals are well looked after.
Welfare. Oh, it's clean. Okay, cool. No, zoo. Welfare. Alright, no, that one. I gotta stop doing animal trading. Excuse me. Okay, what do you need? Enrichment. Habitat. Filter it down by plain zebra. Plain zebra. And then we'll do hub. Enrichment. Species food enrichment. Ball feeder. Oh, they food enrichment. Knowing that they're gonna get bored of the food eventually, that makes things feel a bit tough. A reticulated giraffe. Toy enrichment. Rubbing pillow. Oh, go on, have a sprinkler. Okay. They seem pretty happy. We're 88%. So zoo, welfare. So, giant tortoise. And you have no. Okay. So habitat. Species. Alvarado? Giant tortoise? Fruit spike tree. Dog bull.
Not bad.
sprinkler over
Not
there. Oh,
bad at all. I think it's fair to say that you've passed the first part of your training with flying colours. There's still lots more to learn, but we'll have to head to another one of Bernie's zoos for that. If you want to grab your passport, we'll head off, shall we?
I like it how she just assumes we have a passport. I mean,
Sounds like you've got the whole zoo purring away nicely. Well, purring, grunting, screaming, booming. All the appropriate noises. I guess I was right to hire you, huh? Don't tell her I told you, but Nancy wasn't sure you'd even last the morning. So, we're happy this is working out. And Nancy owes me a Foxy coffee. As strange as it seems, considering we just met, when I look at you, I feel like you're the child I never had. After the one I did have, obviously. But you see, zookeeping's not for my daughter. Don't get me wrong. Emma absolutely loves animals, but she set her sights somewhat higher. Wants to save the entire planet. I'll just settle for saving a couple of species. Oh, and maybe having a type of frog named after me.
okay, so I think that's where we'll leave it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, all that thing. I've been Beardy, signing off.